In this video I'm going to show you how to polish your receivers of your Tippmann marker using the sandpaper method. To do this you're going to use 600 grit sandpaper, 800 grit sandpaper, 1000 grit sandpaper, 1500 grit sandpaper, and 2000 grit sandpaper. If you want to save a little money, you can skip the 600 and the 2000 and just do the 800, 1000, and 1500 grit sandpaper. Using all these sandpapers is going to get the best possible smoothness and finish inside for the best operation. What polishing does is it removes all the overspray inside your receivers so that the final product will look like this one here. It's got a nice smoothness inside to it that relieves stress on the bolt and allows it to cycle smoother, which hopefully gives you more consistency in your shot-to-shot performance. To start out with this, you're going to take your 600 grit sandpaper and you're going to run it under water, get it wet, and you also want to get your receivers wet. If your rear bolt allows this, take your rear bolt and wrap it around the paper. You can just use this as a guide to get the best consistency off the sanding here. Because with the guide, it's giving a consistent pattern with how much it removes off all the sides. What you want to do is just keep it wet. And don't apply too much pressure on this, you just want to glide it back and forth. And then you'll eventually start wearing into the paper and you just choose another surface and keep going. The most important areas to polish are right here where the rear bolt would sit. It would slide back and forth into the power tube. You don't have to do where the power tube sits because that's the power tube doesn't move, but also the front bolt. I've already done the front bolt on this one, you can see. And just if it gets, just keep it wet and keep sanding with it. You don't want to let your paper dry out. Your 600 grit, you're just going to remove the bulk of the overspray, and then you're going to move on to the 800, and then the 1000, 1500, and then 2000. So you don't want to spend more than about 3 minutes per grit, and spend less time on the harsher 600 and 800 because they're going to remove the most material. The tolerances are pretty wide on the A5 any Tippmann marker, so you can remove quite a bit without causing any damage to the marker itself. And if you feel the paper isn't doing a whole lot anymore, go ahead and switch it out for a new piece. I'm still on the 600 here. Again, not too much pressure, just back and forth. Just keep going in the natural direction. You'll see the gunk start to build up on it. We're doing pretty good here. Go ahead and rinse the majority of it out. Then you're going to want to take a can of WD-40 here, spray right where you just polished up. Take a paper towel, and you'll be able to remove a whole bunch of the stuff you just took off your receivers. You don't need to try and get everything with the 600 grit, because the 800 and 1000 will also take off a little more of it. What it does is the 600 grit creates valleys in the receivers, and then you have the mountains and valleys, and the 800 will shave off the tops of the 600, and the 1000 will take off the tops of the 800 and the 1500 until you get a nice smooth. With the 2000, you'll just smooth it all right up. So next, advance to the 800 grit sandpaper. Get it wet, get your receiver wet. Get everything nice and wet. Again, if you feel your sandpaper is wearing out, just grab a new piece. Make sure your receiver stays wet. Again, not hard pressure, just nice smooth strokes back and forth. You're not going to want to dwell on the 600 and 800 whole lot, just 2-3 minutes polishing with these. And your sandpaper is best when it's fresh, so just find a new surface if it feels like it's wearing down a bit.